Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me again for today's video. So, on today's video, we are going to be asking the question, can your dreams predict the future? We're going to be talking about precognitive dreams. I'm going to be sharing some of my experiences that I've had and sort of diving into some of the theories around this subject to see whether it is some sort of psychic ability or whether it's something that can just be explained by the nature and power of our brains. So, just before we dive into it, I want to quickly chat to you about one of the brands that I've partnered with. I have been partnered with this brand for well over a year now. They were the first brand that I ever worked with. They are called BU. BU are an amazing feminine care brand. They make products that help with your period cramps, that help with your pain, that help with your menstrual cycle, your mood in general. But they also have this amazing product that helps with your sleep. And since we're talking about dreams today, I thought this was the perfect opportunity to share this with you. So, this is their BU Sleep Pillow Mist. I have been using this for a long, long time now, and it's still just under half full, which is honestly amazing because I've had this for over a year. It looks like a tiny bottle, but you only need a little scoosh or two on your pillow every night and it sends you off into a really peaceful sleep. The ingredients in it are French lavender, chamomile, and ylang ylang, so all good stuff. And as with all of BU's products, there are no nasties. It's 100% natural, cruelty free, and vegan. I think all of their products are vegan. If not all of them, most of them are. I absolutely love this brand. So if you would like to grab this or any of their other products, then you can use my code Sarah10. Sarah is in capital letters and then the number 10 to get 10% off your first order. And BU also donate £1 worth of your order to my chosen charity, which is Willow's Animal Sanctuary right here in Scotland. So yeah, £1 from your order will go towards a charity as well. So you're getting something good and you're doing something good. Thank you again to BU for working with me. I absolutely, I cannot tell you how much I love this brand. Like one of my favourite brands on the planet, honestly. Anyway, without further ado, let's get right on into this topic because it is one that I am really, really interested in and I've really wanted to chat about it for a while. So, we're going to be talking about precognitive dreams. Basically, it's the idea that you go to sleep and you have a dream about something happening, a person, a situation, some event happening, and then in the following days, weeks, maybe months, that ends up happening. And it's like you predicted it in your dream. Now, there have been cases in history where this has happened. I found really, really interesting. So, one of the ones that I came across was Abraham Lincoln, who actually dreamed of his own death before he was assassinated. I have a little screenshot of this story. I'm just going to pull it up so I can read it to you. So, yeah, President Lincoln told his friend and law partner, Ward Hill Lamon, or Lamon, I'm not really sure how you say his second name, that he dreamed of his own death. So Lincoln said that he dreamed of people sobbing, and in his dream, he went to investigate. He went into the East Room of the White House and he found a corpse dressed for a funeral. So Lincoln then asked the people in the dream what had happened, and one of them said that the president was assassinated. So Lincoln was obviously very disturbed and like upset by this dream, as you can imagine, because he is the president. So having a dream where a president's assassinated, it's not going to feel good. It's not a great vibe. So he told the dream to his friend, and he did say that in the dream, when he looked down at the body, it wasn't himself that he saw, it was some other random, figment of your dream. But he had this dream just a few nights before his assassination on April 14th, 1865. So the timing is pretty weird on that one. Then I came across another story which was about the Aberfan landslide. In 1966, there was a landslide of waste from a coal mine that slid into the South Wales village of Aberfan. So the local school was destroyed when this happened and it actually killed 144 students and teachers, which is so, so tragic. I think there was an episode of The Crown where this was like talked about in it or this happened in it. I had never heard of this. I mean, obviously I wasn't alive in 1966, but it's just one of those things that when I saw that episode of The Crown, I was just surprised that I hadn't ever heard of this before. So anyway, after that happened, the British psychiatrist John Barker came to the village because he was trying to research what happens to people when they believe they're about to die. He collected 76 accounts of premonitions of the Aberfan landslide. So one of these premonitions was submitted by the parents of a 10-year-old girl who was actually killed in the accident. So they said the day before the accident, the daughter had reported to her mum that she'd had a really frightening dream. She said that she dreamt her school was no longer there and it was covered in something black. Like, that is so weird. And for like a 10-year-old girl, again, I don't know the situation surrounding this, so I don't know if they like knew that there was a danger of this happening, of this landslide. Like, I don't really know, but for a 10-year-old girl to dream something like that, to dream about her school just not being there, being covered in something black, that's really interesting to me. I don't know about that one, but those were two of the ones when I was doing my research that really stuck out to me. And I have had my own personal experiences of precognitive dreams. One of the ones, which is quite funny, was during the pandemic. Obviously, Zoom was the big thing, and I worked for a kids' entertainment company. We decided to host Zoom parties, and this was like a character company, so we'd dress up as characters and go on and do these Zoom parties. So we'd organised this party where there was going to be 4 of us on the call, and then obviously like a big group of kids. Like, I can't remember how many kids we had on that one, maybe like 30, something like that. So the night before this Zoom party, I went to sleep and I had the worst, what I put down to being an anxiety dream. And basically, it was like everything went wrong with this Zoom party. One of the girls' like wigs wasn't on right, and just there was just so many issues, and it was just a horrible, horrible anxiety-ridden dream. So I woke up and I put on our group chat. Oh my goodness, you'll never guess what I had this dream that like your wig wasn't on right, and this was happening, and we were all just kind of laughing about it. Then cut to we're ready to start the Zoom call. I'm sitting there and I click to go on to Zoom and I get on fine, but the other entertainers, the 3 other entertainers cannot get on the call. They just it won't let them on. They can't get on. I can't see them. They're not there. So I'm on. There's like half the kids that should be there on. And I'm like, just obviously trying to like go along with it. And I start playing some music so that I can like quickly type my phone and ask what's happening. And the girls are saying, we don't know, but we can't get on. Half the kids can't get on, and we think it's a problem with Zoom. Turns out that Zoom actually just went down that day. So there was widespread problems with Zoom that day. And I ended up doing the whole, I think it was like a 45-minute or maybe even an hour party by myself. And like, do you know what? It was actually fine. We ended up rearranging for another day and all the kids got their party. So if anyone's worried, it was all fine. But it was just so weird. Like, I remember after the call, I was chatting to the girls and all of them were like, I can't believe you had that dream, and we were all laughing about it and then this happened. That felt very precognitive to me. I don't know how I could have predicted that Zoom was going to go down. To be fair, I could have just been anxious about the party, had that anxiety dream. My brain was just throwing out all these things that could go wrong, and then it just so happened that something did go wrong. But it was weird. It was really weird, and I'm really glad I told them about that dream before the party, not after, because it just made it more legit. Another example I have is I once dreamt about my partner's sister and her now fiance, and I had a dream about them, and they were showing us a new house that they'd bought. And in the dream, a big feature of the dream was this sparkly chandelier. And I woke up and I didn't think too much of it. The only thing I thought was, oh, it's kind of weird because I don't tend to dream about those people. Like, they're not regular visitors in my dreams. To be honest, the only people that make regular guest appearances in my dreams are Matthew, my mum, dad, my sisters, and sometimes one of my close friends, Jenny, but that's about it. Like, I don't tend to dream about other people. Literally a couple of days later, we met up with them and they announced us that they were engaged. So I was like, that's really weird because in the dream it was like they were showing us this new house that they'd bought, and it was like this symbolizing this next step in the relationship. And the sparkly chandelier was a big feature in this dream, so it's kind of weird that they got engaged, and obviously she has like a sparkly engagement ring. So that was a little bit strange. But probably the strangest one that I've had, certainly recently, was I had this dream, and I will say, even just from the outset, the whole vibe of this dream was like negative. Like, it felt very ominous. So I had this dream that I was with Matthew, and nothing that odd happened in the dream, except at one point I was standing looking at him, and there was a window behind him, and this black crow swooped in through the window and landed on his shoulder. And I remember when that happened in the dream, I remember feeling really uneasy and just like, oh, that's a bad sign. Like, I don't like that. So the next day I woke up, I still had that uneasy feeling, and I Googled, what do black crows symbolize in dreams? So when I Googled it, it said that dreaming of seeing a black crow symbolizes illness or disease of some sort. So I was like, oh, that's not great. And considering it landed on Matthew's shoulder, it made me feel really uneasy. However, I didn't tell him about it. I wrote it down in my dream journal. So like I have evidence that I dreamt this and I remember dreaming it. But I didn't tell Matthew about it because I didn't want to worry him. Like, I wouldn't like if someone has a bad dream about me of like something bad happening to me or a bad omen, like I don't want to know about it. So if anyone has a dream about me and it's anything bad, keep it to yourself. Because also I think sometimes when we tell other people, like, oh, I had this really bad dream where like you were really sick, then there's the potential for that to just kind of go into that person's subconscious, and then they will like manifest it. It'll just be like eating away at them. Like, it's almost like planting a seed of like negativity or just bad energy, and then they could end up manifesting that into their life. So I'm not about that. I wasn't going to tell him that. I didn't want to make him feel worried or uneasy. But a few days after I had that dream, he tested positive for COVID. So, yeah, that was really weird. And at that point, now obviously he's fine now. He was like lying on the couch for like a day or two, but he was fine. But it was just very, very weird. Like, as soon as he told me he tested positive, I just got chills because I was like, that was what that dream meant. Like, that's what that dream meant. And then I told him about the dream. And I would say Matthew is a little bit, he takes everything with a bit of pinch of salt. But when I told him that I had that dream and what it meant, even he was like, okay, that's really, really weird. So, those were my personal experiences of potential precognitive dreams. Now, I want to chat about some theories behind how this phenomenon could happen. So, there is a theory about subconscious connections. So, obviously, our subconscious brain and our brain in general is very, very powerful, and it is constantly picking up subtle cues, imagery, energy. It picks up so many things that we are just not even aware of consciously, and it stores it. So the theory is that because our subconscious mind picks up all these subtle cues and signals and energies, when we go to sleep, it then interprets them into our dreams and like shows us kind of what it's picked up. So for example, maybe I'd heard Matthew like sniffle that day, and I consciously I hadn't noticed it, but in my subconscious I was thinking, oh, is he sick? Is he ill? Does he have COVID? And then that's why I had that dream about the crow landing on him and all that kind of stuff. Now, I think this theory probably does hold a bit of weight. Our subconscious mind definitely picks up trillions more information than we can ever take in consciously. So, yes, it does make sense that there would be things that we pick up on that we're not aware of in our waking life. However, in that particular instance, for example, with the crow dream, I'm 100% certain that Matthew was not showing any signs of being ill. I think he only took the test the day he did because he was meant to be seeing his whole family, and it was around about Christmas time. Everyone was just doing lateral flow tests just to be safe. So he wasn't taking it because he felt ill. He was just taking it because everyone else was, and then obviously it came up. And then he started to feel the symptoms going forward. So I don't know, for that in that particular instance with my crow dream, I don't think that's the case. Now, the other theory is, or well, this is not really a theory. I mean, this is fact. I looked up this article and it said, I really just like this word. It said your brain is a probabilistic machine, which basically means that your brain will constantly put out ideas of what it thinks could happen in the future based on things that have happened in the past. So it's all about probability. Your brain's saying, this is a situation that happened in the past. This is how you felt. So based on that, we're going to predict something that could happen in the future. It's always thrown out potential scenarios because it's trying to prepare you for the future. That's why we have anxiety dreams, because it's our brain's way of trying to be like, oh, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. So let's be prepared for that. Let's make you freak out about that because that's super helpful. Because your brain is always trying to throw out these probabilities, there is a chance that, maybe, I don't know, 1 out of 10 times it is going to get it right. And then this kind of ties in with a thing called selective recall. The 1 out of 10, 20 time that it does get it right, you remember it because it's like confirming something that you'd already thought about. You're not going to remember all the times that it gets it wrong, basically. That's the idea. It's called selective recall. So again, I do think there is some merit to this. You know, if you've had issues with someone in the past and then you dream about having an argument with them and then you do have an argument with them, maybe that's not so precognitive as much as it's just your brain being like, this is your situation with this person in the past. This is probably going to be the outcome of your meeting tomorrow. And then it is. So I don't know. I guess you kind of have to just judge for yourself in those situations whether you think they are precognitive or not. But my personal theory is that we do have a sixth sense. I think a lot of us assume that, you know, psychic abilities are something that either we don't believe in them or we think that they're only for a select chosen few of the population. But I don't believe that. I believe we all have a sixth sense. We all have intuition. I think it's just about how much we choose to acknowledge or tap into it. I would say I'm quite an intuitive person, and certainly in the past few years, I have really opened myself up to these other realms, if you want to call it that. So I think there is the potential for us when we're asleep to sort of enter these other realms or pick up these energies from other places and, yeah, just tap into a sort of higher consciousness, I guess, higher knowledge or whatever it is, and be shown things that we wouldn't necessarily be shown with our waking conscious mind. You know, when we dream, there is no time, there is no limits to what we can dream. So I think it's a really expansive time for our brains when we're dreaming. And I think we can open ourselves up to other realms, open ourselves up to receiving information in different ways and interpreting it in different ways. So I do think that there is an argument to be had for dreams being able to predict the future. I really do. And I would encourage you, if you're interested in this type of thing, to keep a dream journal, because then you'll be able to look back and, you know, if anything does come true, you can look back and physically point to it and say, I wrote this on, you know, February 14th, 2022, whatever, and it's happened. Decipher your dreams, look up the symbology, because that's going to help you understand what the dream's actually about. And then obviously just use your discernment. Be discerning. Like, I'm not saying put everything down to you being psychic, but if you're dreaming about something that does happen, question it. You know, you can ask yourself, well, is that just the probability that was the most likely thing that was going to happen? Or was that maybe a little bit out of the ordinary, and the fact that I dreamed about that happening that it did happen, was that a precognitive dream? I don't think all precognitive dreams are like us predicting the future necessarily, but I think some could be, and it definitely has felt that way for me anyway. So I would love to know your thoughts on this. Please comment below if you've had any precognitive dreams that have come true. Remember to like this video if you're interested in this content, and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you so much for being here for this one, and we'll see you next time. Bye.